México?
Bien. Banderita, banderita chilena, banderita del PS.
El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio.
El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio. El que no salta es momio. Un rico ignorante como tú. El que no salta es momio.
Chile had been calm in the 1960s. Washington's Alliance for Progress program spent millions of dollars backing Chile's Christian Democrat government. But in 1970, a coalition of the left and the center sought electoral victory. Unidad Popular was led by a doctor, Freemason and Marxist bon vivant, Senator Salvador Allende. Worried that a Marxist would come to power in legitimate elections, U.S. business made its move.
Copper is used all over the world, but the largest known reserve of copper ore is in South America, in the Republic of Chile.
In the 1960s, Chile was fertile soil for American corporate interests, including IT&T, which controlled the copper industry, and Pepsi-Cola. Early in 1970, Pepsi and IT&T were concerned about political developments in Chile. As the country's democratic presidential elections approached, a left-wing candidate named Salvador Allende was gaining popular support. His ties to Fidel Castro were of particular concern.
As part of his electoral platform, he had said he would not accept American aid. He had inveighed against American capitalism, described the United States as not really being a democracy, but the Soviet Union was a democracy.
Allende promised to nationalize Chile's copper industry, a direct threat to IT&T and concern to other U.S. corporations.
I directed that an approach be made to both the State Department and Mr. Kissinger's office to tell them that we had grave concern over the outlook for ITT's investment.
As IT&T called on Kissinger to take action against Allende, Pepsi President Donald Kendall echoed the same concern to an old friend, Richard Nixon.
If he does it right in Chile, he's going to ensure a good flow of campaign money in 71 and 72. He's got a lot of big money people that want him to do something about Chile. So Chile became the most important national security item they had.
September 4th, Allende won a plurality of the vote. It appeared certain that his victory would be confirmed by the Chilean Congress.
The election in Chile has been won, but the president has not been confirmed. The new
CIA. Helm's handwritten notes reveal a plan to prevent Allende from coming to power. Not concerned risks involved. No involvement of the embassy. 10 million available, more if necessary. An internal CIA memo dated September 16th outlines the official but secret policy implemented by the CIA under the supervision of Henry Kissinger. Kissinger asked Helms to report directly to him on the details of coup operations. Concealed from the Departments of State and Defense, as well as the U.S. Embassy in Chile, this plan for covert action became known as Track 2.
Fine, we'll call you later.
So I flew to Washington. The president greeted me. He then launched into a denunciation of Allende. He kept hitting his hand like that. He was going to smash Allende economically, kept referring to him as that bastard, that SOB. He was going to smash him.
With the inauguration approaching, word of possible covert action against Allende reached General René Schneider, head of the Chilean military. Schneider announced he would uphold Allende's confirmation by the Chilean Congress. He was unaware that men from within his own ranks were being recruited by the CIA.
Mi padre era una persona muy tierna, sí. Mi papá era una persona que no mentía, que lo que decía lo cumplía. Y la ley significaba que la decisión de quién era presidente de Chile la había tomado el Congreso.
On October the 15th, Kissinger received word that Track 2 coup plotters had made a failed attempt to kidnap General Schneider. In a meeting with the CIA, he expressed his concern that plans for a coup at this time cannot succeed. In his memoirs, Kissinger would later write that he had turned off Track 2 at this meeting. But the very next day, the CIA sent a cable to Chile. It is firm and continuing policy that Allende be overthrown by a coup. It is imperative that these actions be implemented clandestinely and securely so that the United States government and American hand be well hidden.
If you're Henry Kissinger...
Immediate Santiago. Submachine guns and ammo being sent by regular courier, leaving Washington 0700 hours, 19 October. Due arrive Santiago late evening 20 October or early morning 21 October. Preferred use regular courier to avoid bringing undue attention to operation.
Mi padre salió de aquí tipo 8 de la mañana en un auto en que iba solamente con su chofer. Llegaron a la esquina y el auto ahí fue rodeado por otros y sale gente, rompen el vidrio con un mazo y disparan hacia adentro. Muchos disparos.
With illegal acts.
Mr. Kissinger, his presence here should not be interpreted as meaning that he himself was ever involved in any plot to assassinate any foreign figure.
In the Church Committee, the CIA testified that Kissinger had been kept fully informed of the Schneider situation every step of the way, even after October 15th. Kissinger maintained that he turned off all coup plotting on October 15th.
The CIA money dispatched to oust General Schneider wasn't needed. Other plotters assassinated him. The murder shocked the nation. Moderate politicians rallied to Allende and consolidated his election victory. In the shanty towns of Chile, there were high hopes as the newly elected president set out on reform, without, he hoped, outside interference.
Que los Estados Unidos tienen que respetar el derecho de los pueblos a desarrollar su economía en la forma que necesita o desea.
Allende's first big step, supported by all Chilean political parties, was the nationalization of copper, Chile's biggest industry, still under effective US control.
When Salvador Allende nationalized copper,
it wasn't an arbitrary measure. He did it to obtain the resources to alleviate the great poverty in our country.
Aliviar la gran pobreza en nuestro país.
Allende pressed on with what he called his social revolution. School children were given a daily glass of milk. The middle classes were on edge.
The fear was basically what would happen to the people, to the families, to the property, to your farms.
In the Chilean countryside, peasants chanting pro-Cuban slogans began seizing the land.
What happened afterwards confirmed the fears, because the government, on the one hand, started to expropriate land, started to expropriate industry.
Chile's economy was increasingly put under state control. This upset foreign financiers and the World Bank in Washington, which cut off credits.
Chile, of course, is interested in obtaining loans from international organizations where we have a vote. And I indicated that wherever we had a vote, where Chile was involved, that unless there were strong considerations on the other side, that we would vote against.
But most Chileans ignored the call to armed struggle. As inflation mounted, the right attacked economically. CIA money helped pay for Chilean truck owners to bring the country to a standstill. At the UN, Allende accused ITT of trying to provoke a civil war.
Se proponía el estrangulamiento económico, el sabotaje diplomático, el desorden social, crear el pánico en la población, para que al ser sobrepasado el gobierno, las Fuerzas Armadas fueran impulsadas a quebrar el régimen democrático e imponer una dictadura.
Moscow was the next stop. There, Allende sought the money he needed to stave off bankruptcy. But the Russians, already spending a fortune to support Cuba, were unimpressed.
We had come to a conclusion. This regime...
Santiago, Chile's capital, June 1973. With the government's popularity actually increasing, some frustrated right-wing military officers took to the streets in an attempted coup. As the world's press recorded the failed takeover, Swedish cameraman Leonardo Henriksson, his camera still running, was gunned down and killed. Allende responded by placing greater reliance on the military. General Augusto Pinochet was appointed as his loyal chief of the army. Once again, the truck owners paralyzed the world's longest and thinnest country. Shops closed for lack of goods. Hunger stalked the streets. Middle-class housewives came out to bang their pots and pans in protest. The violent right laid their plots.
Enemies of freedom committed an act of war against our country. At first light on that morning, troops and tanks advancing on our presidential palace. I fired.
Tienen la fuerza, podrán avasallar, pero no se detienen los procesos sociales, ni con el crimen, ni con la fuerza. La historia es nuestra y la hacen los pueblos. ¡Viva Chile! ¡Viva el pueblo! ¡Vivan los trabajadores!
He was murdered. I got shot through my knee, and later they smashed my head against the dirt road. They hit me so many times, and sometimes I lost consciousness.
Democratically elected government in Chile.
I really think Chile was probably the basis and the most corrupt of all the actions, because it had nothing to do with national security.
General Pinochet immediately stamped his mark on the country. In the capital, suspects were rounded up into the National Stadium. Many, like folk singer Victor Jara, were never seen alive again.
I know that he behaved with great moral courage. I know that he was a sort of source of strength to his fellow prisoners. I know that he sang there. I know that they beat him down.
The people he got rid of and shot out of the stadium were all bad people. I mean, he was smart enough to know if he was going to do it, you had to do it complete 100%. You just can't go into it half-assed, and do a little bit here, a little bit there. He went in with a lot of force and did it.